Want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? Look, it's Buzz. Oh, say hi. Are you gonna be nice now? Okay, bye. Hello friends, my name is Maddie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today, I'm going to be going over all the great books that I read in July. I ended up reading 34 books this month. That's a lot of books. I'm not going to go over all of them, just my favorites, my disappointments, that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book I have is Forbidden Hearts by Corinne Michaels. This book is about Asher and Phoebe. Asher is a single dad and he has a daughter who is deaf or selective hard of hearing. When the mother moves away for business for a couple of months, Phoebe steps in. She ends up becoming the nanny for them, and the story goes from there. They end up falling in love. It's very sweet. I did enjoy it a lot. It dealt with a lot more serious topics than I thought it would, and I thought the representation was awesome because you don't often see characters like the daughter in the book. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. The next book I have is Love Theoretically by Eilidh Hazelwood. This was one of my biggest anticipations for this year. If you like her other books, I think you would like this one because it follows that very similar format. I greatly enjoyed this one. I thought it was just a fun little thing. I kind of knew going into it what to expect because I've read all of her other books and they are very similar along those same lines. So it's nothing like new or riveting to me, but I do think it was well done. I liked it a lot. It's probably my second favorite out of the 3 books. I also ended up giving this one 4 stars as well. The next 2 books are by Britt Benson. It is the Next Life duet. I read both of these pretty much back to back. I enjoyed them a lot. I gave the first one 4 stars and then the second one 3 stars. This book is about a girl. She's very like straight A student. She ends up falling in love with her best friend's brother, who is also her bully, and then ends up also becoming her There's a lot going on in this story. The male main character is like this bad boy type, like he's kind of lazy. Everyone's like, he's not going anywhere, you don't waste your time on him, he's so annoying, da da da. And I don't really kind of get where all of this was coming from because there was just this huge miscommunication trope and I wasn't a huge fan of it, especially because it revolved around family miscommunication. So I didn't really get it and I was kind of like, I just wish someone would like speak up for this poor boy, which I guess that's like the whole point of the story. I enjoyed the first book and I just ended up kind of, again, that like miscommunication trope and why things happened the way they did. Wasn't a huge fan of it, so I ended up giving that one 3 stars. The next book I have is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This book, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect from it. It is dearly beloved by a bunch of social media communities, so I knew it was about like a friends to lovers situation. Friends to lovers for me, again, is a little bit of a hit or miss, but I did enjoy this one. So this is about Macy and Elliot. Macy ends up losing her mom. Her dad ends up buying a house near Elliot and they become best friends and they're always asking each other, oh, what's your favorite word? And I think it is super cute and seeing their younger side, and I do like how it flips back and forth between 2 timelines, so when they're younger and when they're older. And something happens when they turn 18 and Macy goes silent on him and he doesn't kind of really know why, and they end up reuniting years later. I did end up giving this one 4 stars. I wasn't a huge fan of the ending of this book. I thought the reason why they stopped talking to one another was it was a serious thing, but to me it was something that would be unforgivable, and I mean that's just me. I don't really know. I still don't really know how I feel about this book. I do think it might have been like, I don't know, a little immature, but again, they were 18 years old, so what can you do? Just this like whole miscommunication thing, I just can't get behind it. The next book I read was Bunny by Mona Awad. This book, I knew going into it I was either going to love it and I was either going to hate it, and unfortunately I just simply fell in the middle. The first 200, maybe even 250 pages, I absolutely loved it. The vibes were immaculate. It's about these girls, there's like 3 or 4 of them, and they call each other Bunny, and no one knows why, but it's always, hi Bunny, how I love you Bunny. Very cultish and a bit horror-esque, and no one really knows them, no one knows them personally, no one really kind of like knows their names, just that they call each other Bunny. And this girl kind of goes in to infiltrate the bunny cult and see what's going on. The ending just kind of flopped for me. Like I said, I loved the vibes the first like 2/3 of this book, and then it fell flat for me. I just don't think the ending really made sense. It just kind of ruined everything the first half of the book. Totally, being completely honest, I would totally read the first 200 pages of this book again, just because I thought it was so fun. Like, I think it was so interesting, and like, I don't know, I would want to be one of them because they were so cool. But like I said, this ending just fell flat for me. I'm not a huge horror person either, so take my advice with a grain of salt. But there was just something off about the ending, and because of that, I ended up just giving it 3 stars. The next book I have is one of my first 5-star books of the month. It was The Rest of the Story by Tell Bauer. I've mentioned this book prior. The rest of the story is about Morgan. He is a hockey player and he ends up getting transferred to the worst team on the league, and immediately within 24 hours of him landing, he is made to be team captain. But prior to that, he was pretty laid back. He just wanted to finish out his career, and this team is very broken. They're very traumatized. There was a lot going on before he ended up getting there. Kind of teams up with the rookies captain, if you will, and his name is Shay, and they end up falling in love. But the thing that I loved most about this book were the dynamics between them and the other players. So like the team as a whole, I thought was just absolutely so cute and adorable. Like they would have like barbecues and game nights and to just hang out and have fun with one another, and I thought it was so sweet. It's very found family-esque as well, because a lot of these guys are like 18, 19, so they're struggling, they're away from their parents, they're living on their own for their first time. They like go to IKEA together and like send each other stuff. It's just so cute and precious, and I loved it so much. This is a pretty heavy book considering how much fun I had reading it. It is very dark and it does have some themes of mental health going on as well, but overall it was a fantastic read, so because of that I gave it 5 stars. The next book I have is To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. This is about a girl who was best friends with this guy who ends up becoming a famous actor when he's older. He's in trouble with the media. He's like hooks up with other girls and it's just a hot mess, and so his PR team decides that he needs to get married, so he suggests her and she ends up going along with it. Of course, they end up falling in love along the way, so it is very sweet. But I really enjoy Ella Mays' writing, and I just have such a good time with her contemporary romances, and I'm so excited to read her other books. The next book I have is My Dark Romeo by L.J. Shin and S. Huntington. In this book, the main male character pretty much kind of kidnaps the female main character and forces her hand, and she has to marry him. She comes from very elevated standing, very elite social life, so she gets into a little bit of hot water, and pretty much to save her reputation, she ends up marrying him. Obviously, this is a dark romance, so if you don't like that thing, move on. But overall, I thought this was really good. I thought the writing was not too bad, honestly. I'm not a huge fan of L.J. Shin, and I enjoyed the book Darling Venom by S. Huntington, so I thought that this book was pretty good. Honestly, I gave it 4 stars. Maybe I gave it 4.5. I might have given it 4.5. They do have a grumpy sunshine dynamic. I thought also the banter was really funny. His friend group has like a text message group with one another, so you see their text messages all the time, and that's pretty funny, honestly. Overall, I did have a good time reading this. Another one of my 5-star books was In an Absent Dream by Sheenan McGuire. Hope I said that right, but this is a fantastic series about children who stumble into other worlds, almost like falling down the rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland, and they are trying to assimilate back into the human world, into society. And this one is absolutely fantastic. This was the 4th book in the series. I ended up giving it 5 stars to it. I don't know what it was with this book. I've really enjoyed the other ones. I ended up giving them like 3.5, 4 stars, maybe even 4.5 every single time. But there was something about this book that I loved. I don't know if it was the world building itself, the mind games that these characters would play with one another, and they're very short too, so it's very compact and a lot happens in a little bit of time. But there was something about it that I just absolutely loved so much, and I thought it was just so well done. So I'm very excited to keep reading this series. But so far, the 4th book is hands down my favorite. The next book I read is a relatively new release. It is Minx by Sophia Lark. I went into this one with relatively high hopes. I'd heard good things about it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I sometimes think that her characters are missing a certain link to one another, or her plots are missing a certain link, and sometimes they just don't do it for me. This is one that didn't do it for me. I genuinely loved both these characters. I really liked both of them a lot. They're both very ambitious. They both were like powerful and just wanted to be successful people. So I did like that aspect, but I like the 50-way mark, I was still kind of waiting for this, oh, they're gonna click, and to me they just never clicked with one another. There was so much to them, but there was nothing there about their relationship besides that they were both rich and banged a lot. There is a third act breakup in this as well. I'm not a big fan of those. I felt like in this book, in this case, it felt super unnecessary, and by that point, like, again, there was just nothing chemistry wise I felt between them. So overall I ended up giving it 3 stars again because I did like the characters, I did like the plot, but just them together, I just couldn't get behind the two of them together because I love them separately. Next book I have is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I absolutely love this book and I adore this series so much. This is a reread for me. I ended up boosting this one from 3.5 stars to 5 stars. This is one of my favorite fantasy books of all time. This book is about Darrow. He is a red, and in this world, reds are at the bottom of their social system, and he is thrown into the world of golds to become powerful and kind of overthrow their government. Because I've read the first 3 books in this series, I think I just had so much more of an appreciation for it and went on this reread. So because of that, I ended up boosting this to 5 stars. But I love this so much. If you're gonna read any of this book, read this one. This one's so fantastic. The next book I have is another truly beloved series. It is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. I ended up finishing this one very early this month. This is about the Cal family, and in their world, their jade supply is how they have powers and their magic system. So jade gives them powers and they're able to fight and be stronger, move faster, yada. It's a whole system. It's really cool. This is honestly probably one of the coolest magic systems I've seen. I love Hilo and Shay Cal so much, and I was so sad to like finish this book and like say goodbye to this world because I love them so much. I think Fonda Lee's writing is absolutely fantastic. Again, she's just a great writer overall. I really enjoyed the entire series. The book itself is huge, and I like could read 1,000 more pages of this novel and of this series and of this world. I did end up giving this one 5 stars as well, and it is so worth the read. Finally, we have a book that I did not think I was going to get through this month, and it is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. This is one of the last books I read this month. This is about a ragtag group of people. There's like 6 of them, and they're trying to save the world for the most part. Not much happened in this book for like the first 80% of this book. It didn't get interesting to like the last like 50 pages really. There's something about Victoria Aveyard's writing, and she just kind of drags things out a lot for like no reason, and I'm hoping that things really pick up in the second book because I feel like this world has so much to offer, and so I hope that she takes advantage of that. There wasn't a whole lot going on. The prologue didn't really work for me. A few of the characters' point of views didn't work for me. I did enjoy some of the characters. I liked their friendships, but there was like no romance even to like kind of keep the book interesting. So like I said, the first like 80% of this book, like absolutely nothing interesting really happens, and it's all very world building. I feel like it's kind of wasteful to make a reader read 80% world building and like nothing happens. I did end up giving it 3.5 stars. I will continue it. I did order the second book. The third book is coming out soon too. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed getting to know all the books I read in the month of July, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye!